Welcome back. Today's video is for Chapter 6, which is where we're going to start talking about oblique triangles, which means a triangle does not have a 90-degree angle. So some of the rules are still available, but they're not quite the same. So what we're going to be looking at today is something called the law of sines. And you can see it down here in the bottom right. Here is the law of sines, saying that there's a relationship between the side lengths and the angle measurements of any triangle. It doesn't have to be a right triangle, and all we need to know are some pieces of information. So in this first one, they've given us two angles and a side, and we're trying to solve, which means find the other pieces of information. Well, the easiest thing to do is for us to find angle B right away, because we all know that when we're doing triangles, that if I were to add up the angles, and that would give me 138, and then subtract from 180, and I've got my missing angle B, 42 degrees. Now that's huge if you're paying attention, because that means since angle A and angle B are equal, this is an isosceles triangle, meaning that these two sides here are the same length. So if we can find A or B, we've got the other one. So what we want to do now is we want to use our actual formula and look at the information that we've got. We've got all three angles, so all three of these denominators down here are good. We've got that information. And we've got this one. All right? We got C. So we want to pick which two of the fractions we want to put together. So for example, we're looking for A or B. It doesn't matter which one we find first. Let's just find A first. And that means that A over sine A, and we know angle A is 42 degrees, is equal to C, which we know is 12, all over sine of C, and we know that angle C is 96 degrees. All right, so we're going to basically do a little solving here. And to do that, what we're going to do is, first off, we're going to multiply both sides by sine 42. If we do that on both sides, because we're trying to solve for A, trying to get rid of that there, and that means A will be equal to, and over here if we multiply across, numerator 12 times sine 42, denominator sine 96 times 1, which just makes sine 96. Now the rest of this is just done on your calculator. You guys have access to a school calculator. You can look up TI 84s or 83s online. Really what you would need to be a scientific calculator. You can look up a scientific calculator on Google, and they'll find you one if you don't have access to one yourself. It doesn't have to be the TI 84 or anything like that. It just has to be a scientific calculator. You can type that information in right there, and you end up with 8.07. The directions said round to the nearest tenth. So then that means A is 8.1. And then again, because we noticed that B and A were equal to each other, because this is a special isosceles triangle, all going back to this right here, then we know B is also 8.1. But if we didn't see that, we could have still gone back and done the same thing we just did with A minute ago and used B instead. So I'm going to erase this real quick and give myself a little room. So it means we could have gone back and found B using these original formulas over here, where we could have done B over sine of angle B, which is also 42, equals C over sine of C, which was 96. And you can see that the only difference between these two equations right now is this. One's finding A, one's finding B. Everything else is exactly the same, which is why we would get exactly the same answer. All right, the next couple problems are essentially the same. You'll follow the same steps. Find that third angle first, and then start setting up those proportions. All right, good luck.